All right, welcome into the Jordy Culotta Show presented by Go Chevrolet. Remember, online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. You can also find Go Chevrolet on Twitter. As they announced, they are on Twitter now. That's at Go_Chevrolet. Check them out. They got some exciting news, including some used car shops coming to the local area here in Baton Rouge. But remember, they're located out there in Laplace, Louisiana, over off of I-10. Go Chevrolet, bringing you the Jordy Culotta Show every day. We're loaded here. We're going to talk to Keith Sanchez. Sanchez is making a move from football to law, as he has been a defensive analyst for the LSU football team for the past couple of seasons, and now making the move out of football, sees the horizon, sees what's on the horizon with name, image, and likeness. Coming to college football, he's going to get his law degree. We'll talk to him about why he's making that decision coming up here at 8 o'clock this morning. At 8:30, we're answering any of your food questions that you may have. If you got some questions about recipes, if you got questions about holidays and about cooking, Jean Paul Bourgeois will be here, Louisiana native. He's on the move as he's making the move from New York City back down to the south, and he's doing that right now. He'll join us at 8:30, and that's actually going to be a regular for us every Wednesday here on the Jordy Culotta Show. So we're looking forward to that. No guest in the first hour. We were scheduled to be joined by Mickey Joseph. He's going to join us on Friday morning after a schedule hiccup here on a Wednesday morning. So looking forward to it today here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We are experiencing massive technical difficulties, so we appreciate you finding us on YouTube if you're there. Or excuse me, if you can find us on Facebook.
You can find us on YouTube. Let me know.
Yes. We will.
I'll pay you handsomely.
We are searching for the Jordy Culotta Show page, which yesterday it vanished, gone
into the ether.
We're not sure where it is. We're continuing to try and find where it is. We were in touch with people at YouTube, but what we were trying to do is just build a sub channel for our new show that's coming to the Jordy Culotta Show network with the GritIron Show. We were just trying to place a sub-channel on the main channel that you would be able to go and access the GritIron Show through that main channel, and through that process, the show has been lost, gone over the last 24 hours. It's been a hell of a last day. Our guy Lloyd is obviously feeling terrible, but I don't know if you can put this on him.
I can. It's all on my shoulders.
No,
I'm not very strong.
I can't believe that it's that easy to lose a page. Like,
it's just gone, one click.
Vanish.
I thought
gone.
I was doing a good thing.
So if anybody can help us out there, we have looked high and low for help on this situation. If you believe that you can help, or if there's anything out there that you've experienced that's similar to this,
I'll manscape you.
Please let us know.
You can't refuse.
Yes, it is. It's been a trying time over here at the Jordy Culotta Show. A lot of hard work has gone into to building that platform over on YouTube. So we're praying and have our fingers crossed and just hoping very dearly that it's not gone overnight. But if it is, we will reconvene and have a new plan, and we'll be able to get there
onward
at some point.
We're thriving nonetheless.
That's right. So we will talk to Keith Sanchez coming up here at 8 o'clock this morning. And we will talk to Jean Paul Bourgeois at 8:30 this morning. Last night, LSU baseball was washed out as the Tigers the game was postponed. They'll play today. They'll play 2 9-inning games over at the Box. Looking forward to this. The weather's going to be great.
Oh, yes.
As we were talking about baseball season and what's going on with baseball season. And this is the weather. This is the time that you want. Yesterday, the governor makes the announcement that he is lifting and softening some of the guidelines and the restrictions right now to public events and sporting events, which means half capacity, 50% capacity. So things are starting to trend in the direction of finding some sense of normalcy, whether it's in or around sports or just out and about. I saw where Mississippi and Texas both yesterday lifted the mandates of masks and going back to just full capacity at restaurants, bars, and in the public. So
that change to the crowd size had to come into effect the day after the last basketball home game, though, right?
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
and LSU basketball last night, as we said, had to get right, and it felt like they played as good as they could against a down Vanderbilt team. The stat that jumped out to me was the rebounds. LSU outboarded Vanderbilt 51-29 on the glass. That has been a stat line that LSU has very much suffered through this season. And to see them bounce back last night, Trendon Watford had 14 and 13 boards. Darius Days had 13 and 10. Cameron Thomas had 23 and 10. So a lot of double doubles last night for some of the big guns for LSU. But a big win last night, 83-68, as they get the win, and they'll move on to face Missouri on Saturday, as LSU will close out their regular season with a quad one opportunity. And this is a big spot, a big chance for Will Wade and his crew. We talked about going into this part of the schedule. They'll start the SEC tournament next week, and going into it with a couple of wins. Last night, getting an 83-68 win over Vanderbilt. And if they can put something together against Missouri, that'll be a very piece of positive momentum taking into the SEC tournament and taking into the March tournament, the NCAA tournament, which we said, you want to be playing right. You want to be playing at your best at this part of the schedule. So hoping that things will open up for LSU after last night's performance. I did not get to see a lot of that. I was over at Drusilla Seafood speaking to a great group. Some of the electrical workers here in Baton Rouge have a little club that they get together once a month and bring together some speakers, and it was good to get in front of them last night and talk a lot about what was going on through our sports culture here in South Louisiana, football, basketball, and baseball for LSU and the New Orleans Saints. They had some interest on some of the stuff that was happening with Russell Wilson, but down here in South Louisiana, from a football standpoint, LSU football got back to work yesterday. They started their fourth quarter program. As we talked to Austin Thomas last week, and he was telling us that was on the horizon. That happened that happened yesterday. And some of the pictures that are coming out, people are reacting to the size of Miles Brennan, as his picture surfaced last week during a leadership council meeting and dinner that was put together by Ed Orgeron and his staff. And then yesterday, a couple of the shots coming out from the fourth quarter featured Brennan and his teammates, and a lot of people are reacting. And I think we talked about this last week when the picture came out on late last week from the restaurant. The injury that Miles Brennan sustained left him, for the most part, very immobile. He wasn't able to move. He wasn't able to, wasn't able to work out. He wasn't able to do a lot of cardio. So I think just kind of naturally, without the activity, and just kind of sitting around. Think about what you've been doing during COVID. Think about what you're doing during
quarantine 10, dude.
Think about what you've been doing during the pandemic. Not a lot of activity and a lot more eating.
Right.
And it seems like that Brennan has done that. Now this is the opposite of what Brennan battled when he got here, right? If you remember the stories, I remember Tommy Moffitt would come on and tell us that they had Miles Brennan, his redshirt freshman season that he was in Baton Rouge. They would set an alarm on his phone that would wake him up at midnight, and they would encourage him to eat pizza, ice cream, drink milk, like all the stuff that you're not supposed to do. All this stuff. And they were telling him like binge eat,
smash it
throughout the night. Come in the morning, we'll weigh you. And they would weigh him in the morning when he would show up to the facility, and he would weigh X. And at the time, I think he was weighing like 185, 190 pounds. He was a string bean. And then he would leave the building that afternoon, and they would weigh him, and he would lose like 6 or 7 pounds. What? Just because you could not keep any weight on his frame. He was long, he was tall, he was lean.
It's not a bad problem to have.
No, it's not.
It's not
a bad problem to have. But when you're trying to stack weight and build weight and trying to build a physique that can stay up with the competition of the SEC, he's just he had to get bigger and stronger. Now it's the opposite.
Now you got to cut.
Now you got to cut, bro. Now you got to get on a diet.
He did look thick, man.
He looks pretty good. He could withstand some SEC tackling.
I agree. I think it's a better starting spot than obviously where you were a couple of years back because of his age, his metabolism, the amount of work and the regimen that they're going through, I think you'll be able to shed that fairly easily.
Oh, absolutely.
Off of a 22-year-old, 21-year-old.
As a starting quarterback in the SEC with all the work that they do, especially fourth quarter program.
Going through, South Louisiana heat.
Yes.
I mean, all this stuff.
The thing that struck me is his wrist for fat. Like, that's when you're putting on the pounds.
Yeah.
He had
That's
some
a good
rolls on
sign.
the wrist. Oh, he had some rolls on the wrist. His wrists were fat.
Yeah,
that's
no.
when you're putting it on, dude.
The socks look very tight around the
It
ankles.
looks uncomfortable.
You know what I mean? Like, things just not fitting the right way, man. Like, ooh, Miles look like gained a little weight. But
That's when you have to unbutton the pants, just throw the belt on.
Yeah.
I just want to put it out there that I am willing to make a sacrifice for the team to wake up at midnight and eat pizza and ice cream and milk. Just to I'll take the hit.
Dude,
I'll
go
take
on the
hit.
Miles Brennan diet and see how much you gain in a month.
Yeah, let's all do that.
That's all. I mean, get that YouTube subscribers up.
I think he looks good.
Tune in to watch me eat a pizza at midnight.
That will be your consequence, Lloyd.
No, I think I'll get a tattoo. I'll YouTube live a
That
tattoo.
is going to be Lloyd's consequence for taking our platform and flushing it down the toilet
My
just
brother
on some
said-
random Tuesday.
My brother said I should wear a diaper every day until I get sick.
Jeez,
Just a
bro.
diaper.
I swore I thought Lloyd was. I swore I thought he was joking when he called, man.
I was on the verge of tears.
We're thriving.
So tell me how it happened.
We're gonna be good.
Go through the
We're gonna be
story.
good.
You know what happens? I've learned a
through the
lot of
story.
lessons in my life, and the thing that I've learned is if you work too hard, nothing good happens.
Yeah.
I was working too hard. I was trying too hard. So, I promise to do less.
So we will. We were efforting. We are getting after the.
Stone cold sober, too. Just unbelievable. Not even like anything to blame it on. Just my brain.
Well, there's still, to me, there's still no way in 2021
Everything's on the internet, dude. Nothing goes away.
that it's vanished.
You don't think Brittany wants that picture of her shaved head off the internet?
that
Still
it's,
there.
It's gone, right? Like, there's no way I'm going to believe until somebody tells me that is employed through Google or YouTube that this thing is vanished.
I mean, I'll
right?
fly to California.
I mean, all we were trying to do was build a substation to the current channel that we have. I got to believe there's a couple of walls that you got to jump over. Like, are you sure you want to click this? There wasn't that?
Oh, no. It was, what it was like, do you want to combine these two channels? And I said, yes. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I said, are you sure? Yes. And I watched the videos on YouTube before I did this. I did my due diligence. Like I said, working too hard. And as soon as I did it, one of them swallowed up the other one, and everything was gone.
That's really faulty wording by YouTube. Do you want to combine these two channels?
Yeah,
That's
like it was nice if it was like replace, delete, anything like that. But that was not the case.
Tom Granning, how long before back on YouTube?
It's a great question, Tom. We're curious. If you have anybody that you can get in touch with up at YouTube, you let us know, Tom. We would like to be there tomorrow, if that would be possible.
Yeah, worst case scenario is we start the same Jordy Culotta Show YouTube channel, and we'll go live again tomorrow.
That's what I was going to say. We're waiting the 24-hour window. That's why we're not on YouTube today.
Have you heard from Chad Spillers and Daniel Newman?
I have heard from
Yes, please, and text Daniel Newman. He just texted in wanting to know where we were. He can't find us on YouTube, so make sure that he'll be able to find us here on Facebook
Facebook.
this
Chad
morning.
already found us.
Remember, we were on the Jordy Culotta Show as the Jordy Culotta Show podcast. If you can find us, or excuse me, the Jordy Culotta Show Facebook page. And we are always on a podcast form that you can catch. It's brought to you by RMB Builders. Get in touch with Rhett Bourgeois and his crew about listening back to us, but also about building you a custom home. He can also help you with the remodel work. 921-7062 is the phone number. RMB Builders, rmb-builders.com is the phone number. Or excuse me, the website. The phone number is 921-7062 if you want to get in touch with Rhett and his crew today over at RMB Builders. Make sure you're checking up and keeping up with the podcast as there's Daniel Newman. What up, Newman?
As always, liking and sharing is very helpful, but today especially. And also, if you want your chat comments to be read first, people who share the post have a notification by their name from our point of view that says sharer. So if you share, your comments are more likely to get pushed to the top and read by us. So just a little incentive to share, and everything helps, so we appreciate it.
All right,
Help us out. We're struggling, boys. Help us out.
It is going to be it's going to be a beautiful Wednesday. We're going to find that channel today. We're going to get some more knowledge on selling mortgages, and then we're going to watch Zion play tonight,
Let's
which
go.
I am looking
I
forward
forgot
to.
y'all are doing that.
Yes.
It's gonna be so much
Me,
fun.
Daniel Newman, and a crew are heading down to New Orleans tonight to check out Zion Williamson and the Pelicans as they take on Chicago. Bulls are 8-7 in road games this season. They come in fourth in the Eastern Conference. Pelicans right now 10-7 at home as they will face off against the Bulls tonight. Will the Pelicans? They had a really nice write-up on Zion Williamson and talking about what we've been highlighting over the last 15 games for Zion, and it's been pretty incredible, right? Over the last 13-game stretch for the Pelicans, they have averaged over 125 points per game. In that 13-game stretch, Zion Williamson has averaged 28 points, 6 boards, and 4 assists, shooting nearly 65% from the field, shooting 64.8% from the field. Around Zion, this is something that we have not talked about when we've talked about his dominant play. Zion has been unstoppable. He has been the talk of the league. He's been the chatter of the NBA. Him handling the ball, running the point guard, and within 6 feet of the rim, being nearly unstoppable from an individual standpoint. The play that Zion has put out there the last 13 games has looked very similar to 8th grade AAU basketball, where you've just got one bigger, stronger, faster athlete than everybody else, and you've got to have a bucket, and you just clear the floor and say, go get it. Spread it out. Take the ball at the top of the key. You go right, you go left. If you need a screen, call it up. If not, back it down, but just get to the rim and either get to the foul line or create the bucket. Zion has become that in the NBA. In his second season, at 20 years old. He is that player right now. But one thing that we haven't talked about over that last 13-game stretch, the ancillary parts that are playing now better. As Zion has exploded, Lonzo Ball has averaged 17 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, a steal per game, and is shooting 45% from behind the three-point line. A week ago, Lonzo Ball was as good as traded from the New Orleans Pelicans. He was done. He was gone. They were shopping him. They were hanging him out as trade bait. They were looking for the best offer. And he was the carrot that they were dangling in the public. Something happened behind the scenes. People that cover the Pelicans, people that are around New Orleans, things that I've heard is that Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram went to Stan Van Gundy and went to the brass of the New Orleans Pelicans, David Griffin, Swin Cash, Trajan Langdon, and said, Lonzo needs to stay. Whether it's the chemistry that they are forming on the court or whether it's the chemistry that they've always had and developed inside the locker room, Zion now is starting to have power where he wants people around him and the brass in the front office are listening. But he's also making them better on the floor. It's one thing to have that type of power, that type of cachet to walk into your boss's office and say, this is what I want. Okay, we'll take it into consideration. But when you say what you want, then you go out on the floor and you prove that you can make that guy a better basketball player and it makes sense for the front office to keep him. Now it makes a little bit more sense. And it's not just Lonzo Ball that is experiencing the success of playing around Zion. Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart have all posted true shooting higher percentages than 60% with Zion on the floor. It's significantly less with him on the bench. The attention, the ability, and how he makes everybody else better is what is the formula that goes into making Zion who he is in just his second season, and we hadn't even hit the All-Star break. I mean, the All-Star break it'll hit on Friday. Now, I mean, you know, it'll be here on Friday, and he'll be in the game. But again, I can't wait. I can't wait to get down to New Orleans and see this thing in person, and see the Pelicans in person with him, and see the force that he truly is against NBA talent. Because the numbers, the highlights on television, the Boston game a couple of weeks ago, the 13-game stretch really since then, it's been very obvious, but I still don't believe we respect or we understand what we're watching. This is bigger than Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis was generational, right? Anthony Davis was kind of a once-in-a-decade type player in the NBA. Zion is once in a lifetime, potentially. He really is. There's nobody that does anything like him. There's not a fair comparison in years past, present, or even down the line where you could say that guy could grow into that. He's just a very unique player. He's a very special prospect when you think of what he can do. And then what comes along with him is this subtle leadership, this work ethic, this humility that comes with this star power that you just rarely see in this century of sports, or this decade of sport of athletes, guys that have been on social media since they've been 10 years old, guys that have understanded that have a big understanding of the way that social media works and how you can use a social media platform for your own individual advantage. You don't get any of that with him. He was the number one pick. He flies on private jets. He works out with superstars. You don't see any of that. I know that if you do see that from somebody, it doesn't discount their greatness, but it's just refreshing to see in 2021 that there is a superstar of that magnitude that doesn't have to show all that stuff off. I remember Corey Webster, who I love dearly, is a great friend of mine and is very successful in his personal endeavors, in his business life. Outside of football, he made a ton of money playing for the New York Giants. Was a second-round pick, won a Super Bowl, intercepted Brett Favre's last pass as a Packer. NFC Championship game, that game where Tom Coughlin looked like his bones were going to bust out of his cheeks. It was so cold that
Could
Sunday.
have been more red.
I mean, he looked like Santa Claus.
Rudolph.
It was Webster that intercepted that pass for the Giants that elevated New York into the Super Bowl after that overtime win. But Webb's got that type of money now. I mean, Webb, he made a lot. Corey Webster made over $50 million playing football. And he told me, he said, you'll never see any pictures. And he flies private. He does a lot of people. He does a lot of things that wealthy people do, that rich people do. And Corey said, you'll never see that from me. You'll never see me talking about my money. You'll never see my kids really understand how much money we really have, because he wants to keep it as humble and as much like himself growing up in St. James, Louisiana, where they didn't have anything and made him hungry and made him one of the most dominant athletes to come out of the area because he was starving for it. And I just remember Webb talking about how even when he came into the money, how he had to be taught, mentored, and people had to teach him how to respect the money. Not as much manage the money, spend the money, invest the money, but respect it in the sense of you don't have to show everybody how you live or how much you make, because to a lot of people, that's offensive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of people you will offend that way. A lot of people you will turn off in that way. And it just, I think that when you see that in Zion at 20, and then you look at the type of prospect he is, I know we talked about this before on the Jordy Culotta show, but I'm looking forward to going down there tonight and seeing him in person, and then had a chance to read a fan-sided report that came out yesterday that showed and proved the numbers that he has put out there in the last 13 games, where he's top 20 points in all 13 games in that stretch. He's averaging over 28 points, 6 boards, 4 assists. He's playing with the ball in his hands a predominant amount of time on the floor, and it's just interesting to see him growing and developing in front of our eyes, and guys that he's making better like Lonzo Ball. Ball was struggling, very inconsistent throughout the year. and even before this season. And now really finding his way with the attention that Zion is taking off of the rest of the team and taking advantage of the opportunities that Zion is creating while he's on the floor, whether it be open looks at behind the 3-point line, whether it be more open driving lanes, whether it be easier ways to assist and distribute. Whatever it is, Lonzo Ball's finding his way, Brandon Ingram's finding his way, Josh Hart is playing significantly better with Zion on the floor. So he's not just this individual superstar that makes all-star games and has these explosive dunks and has all the highlights. He's a big-time player that's making the guys around him better. That's a legitimate superstar, man. He's playing in New Orleans, and he's in his second season, and the All-Star break will hit on Friday. We'll be there tonight. We'll have a full report for you tomorrow, and we're really looking forward to it. We appreciate you finding us on Facebook this morning. As we said, we had some massive technical difficulties that happened to us yesterday, and we are going to fight through that today and see if we can't get back onto YouTube. And pick up back where we left off would be ideal for us. But if we got to start back over, we'll have to do that. Randy Lanois inside of the bunker over on Facebook saying that Corey Webster's as good as he gets. He's as good as he gets. And it's guys like Randy Lanois that Webster talks about that he has had respect for. I mean, Randy Lanois was Corey Webster's youth league basketball coach that they still text routinely today.
That's so cool.
I mean, that tells you a lot about the character of Webster. I mean, Randy Lanois, I mean, he's as good as gold. But, I mean, a lot of people will fall out of touch with their youth league basketball coach
right.
after you make $50 million and win 2 Super Bowls for the Giants. I mean, a lot of people will do that.
Perfect testament to the character.
Randy could ask Corey a favor of any magnitude, and Corey would be there this weekend for his kids, for his grandkids, for him, for anyone. And Zion feels like he's got that type of quality. We're brought to you daily by Edward Jones, Daniel Newman over at Edward Jones. Remember, daniel.newman@edwardjones.com is where you can find him. Email him today. He's handling our 401k. We got the confirmation yesterday. Everything's rolled over, and over at Edward Jones, it is easy to work with my guy over at Edward Jones. He's in Central Market Square, place out there next to Stabs, the restaurant in Central. Stop in and see him if you're out there today. Very convenient to walk in and just have a conversation with him about your finances. If you're working, if you are at the plants today, Dow, Exxon, BASF, they can help you out with your finances. Daniel.Newman@edwardjones.com. We'll come back and we will have more of the Jordy Culotta Show here live on Facebook. Hey, it's no secret what we got going over here at the Jordy Culotta Show. We're trying to disrupt how media and advertising moves forward. My friend of over 35 years, Barrett Blondo, is doing the same thing for real estate with his new company, Falaya. I met with him in his own personal undisclosed location, and I got to see firsthand what Falaya has been doing and what he's been working on. It blew my mind, man. They are putting all the tools once reserved for professionals right in the hands of the homeowner. It's basically for sale by owner on steroids. For more information, give my guy Barrett Blondo a call today at 225-939-6153 or visit him at Falaya. That's FALAYA.com for more info. Barrett Blondo over at Falaya.com. Changing the game in real estate. Every time we talk to LSU head basketball coach Will Wade here on the Jordy Culotta Show, it's brought to you by Phil's Oyster Bar. Some exciting new things coming up at Phil's here during the Lenten season, including featuring new seafood specials every Friday, in addition to the seafood-filled menu over there. And they're offering up brunch right now on Saturday and Sundays, which will have bottomless mimosas. Don't forget Monday night 50-cent oysters and $2 draft beers. All over at Phil's Oyster Bar. Check them out. They're online at philsoysterbar.com, but they're located in the South Downs Shopping Center, a staple here in Baton Rouge for a long time. Go tell Anthony Piazza and the crew hello. Phil's Oyster Bar. Hey, if you're in the market for a custom home, get in touch with our friend Rhett Bourgeois over at RMB Builders. They're online at RMB-Builders, and Rhett can do just about anything you need around the house. He can build you a new one. He can repair the one you're in. He can remodel. If you need commercial construction help, he's licensed for commercial as well. He can handle an office renovation, building maintenance. Check out everything. It's online at rmb-builders.com. He's on social media, Instagram and Facebook. You can find him at the handle at RMB Builders LLC. But the website is fantastic. Check him out, rmb-builders.com. Can you be assured that the air and surfaces in your home are clean, sanitized, and safe for you and your entire family? You can now by logging on to valera.com/Jordy Culotta, where you, your home, your office, your family can be protected 24/7 with active pure technology. This NASA-based science has proven 99.9% reduction of airborne SARS-2 and COVID-19 virus in just 3 minutes. Log on now to valera.com/Jordy Culotta.
Have a late night and can't make it for the Jordy Culotta Show at 7 a.m.? No worries. Catch us on demand on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Hey, you know it's no secret what we got going over here at the Jordy Culotta Show. We're trying to disrupt how media and advertising moves forward. My friend of over 35 years, Barrett Blondo, is doing the same thing for real estate with his new company, Falaya. I met with him in his own personal undisclosed location, and I got to see firsthand what Falaya has been doing and what he's been working on. It blew my mind, man. They are putting all the tools once reserved for professionals right in the hands of the homeowner. It's basically for sale by owner on steroids. For more information, give my guy Barrett Blondo a call today at 225-939-6153 or visit him at Falaya. That's FALAYA.com for more info. Barrett Blondo over at Falaya.com. Changing the game in real estate. Welcome back to the Jordy Culotta Show here live on Facebook this morning. We appreciate you for being out there, finding us. Make sure and spread the word. Had some technical difficulties with our YouTube station. See if we can get this back on this Wednesday. Appreciate you being for out there.
My mission for the day, for the week, for life.
Don't forget, doubleheader coming up today at the box. LSU will face off against Nichols, a 9-inning game that'll be scheduled for 2 o'clock this afternoon. LSU will follow that game up with a game versus Southern, 6:30 this afternoon inside the box. The stadium will be cleared in between games, and fans must present a Nichols ticket for admission of the 2 o'clock performance, and then have their Southern ticket for the 6:30 game. It was good to see that the governor has lifted a little bit some of the restraints from what's happening to our social system, to what's going on with games and bars and restaurants. Yesterday it was announced 50% capacity now in and around the state of Louisiana. So we will see what type of effect that has on on the baseball game. All right, so we're good. We're back up.
How about Texas and Mississippi though? Just lifted everything.
100%.
Just going
no
in.
No masks anymore. Just nothing.
I know that's probably unpopular, but I'm kind of for it at this point.
For lifting the mask
Yes.
thing, yeah.
I mean,
a lot of people are.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what we
Mississippi
just
did. Texas and Mississippi did.
Yeah, Mississippi did it right after Texas did.
Like I don't. I mean, at this point, you can make up your own mind, right? Like I mean, you can. You're educated enough to decide whether or not
You are. You
I'm
can't
not.
speak for like an entire state though. Some people are not educated enough to make that decision.
And if you doubt it, then don't go out.
Well, yeah. That's
You
what
know?
I've been saying all along.
that's-
So enticing with everybody going out, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think it's like the people that weren't following the mask mandates before, this doesn't affect, and the people
Right.
that were following it, it doesn't affect because they're still going to wear masks.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
It really doesn't
I mean,
change
I think
anything.
it does. I mean, you saw a lot of that reaction yesterday on Twitter from the Texas announcement, from the Mississippi announcement, of people either name calling or saying that they were in. I mean, look, it's your own choice. You know, I mean, I'm not. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, I understand.
Yeah.
You know, what I mean, I'll keep my socially distanced space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think if anything, we've learned a little bit more social guidelines towards fellow humanity, right? Like
Yeah.
stay out of my face, stay out of my space, get out of my right.
Yeah.
Leave my bubble alone, man. Don't pop it.
I think like also if you like, for example, if I was going into class and then someone said like, this is like after all this stuff is over. If someone walks in and is like, oh yeah, I'm sick, I'm wearing a mask today. I was like, oh, thank you. That's very considerate.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, and there will be times where I've been kind of wearing the what do you call it?
Like the
Gator.
gator.
Like the
Yeah,
gator.
Yeah.
And you can kind of feel the room. You can kind of
Yeah.
feel the space that you're walking into. I mean, if people are all masked up and they're all kind of away from each other and have their backs turned to one another while they're talking, then I get it and I'll abide. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to come in and be some rebel where I'm saying I'm not wearing a mask because everybody else is.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, okay, I see the environment that I'm walking in. I want to very much respect that. But there are also times where, I mean, I just run in to grab something, or I run in to grab my kid from school, or I run in to go do something quick where I either don't have it on, and sometimes it's a conscious decision, but sometimes it's not. And I think we've gotten to a point a year later in our society where those regulations have to be lifted. Like, the people have to be able to function in society and earn a living more than anything.
I think we'll see like how schools fare with this. I think that's like what everybody's going to be watching, like in Texas and Mississippi. So like what will happen in the schools with no masks
Hasn't your kid been in school
the whole time?
the whole time? So has mine. Has there
Yeah.
been a real fallout from it? Like a real fallout? I mean, I know that there's been, I mean, Lil Jay he tested positive for
Yeah.
COVID. He had to miss his 10-day quarantine window. He did that. We went through it. He sits in a pod of a classroom where they sit in desks of 4, kind of
Yeah.
podded up. Those other 3 kids had to go home for 14 days. I'd have been pissed if I'd have been their parents.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's the protocol. That's the rules. He tested positive. He went home for 10 days. He did his
Did his time.
time, and now he's back in school. You know, I mean, it's kind of that's how it was. That's how it was written up. That's how it was put out there, and that's how it was. I mean, it's just. I think it's time, man. I think it's
A lot of
time
people think it's time.
to get back into stadiums. I think it's time to interact with people. Last night I was at Drusilla Seafood speaking to the Baton Rouge electrical group. And while it was only, it might have been 20 people, might have been 15 to 20 people sitting in one room, one back room of Drusilla Seafood, you could tell they haven't done that in a while. That's a group that meets routinely throughout the year just to sit down, laugh, have a couple of beers, eat some boiled shrimp, and tell stories about ancient athletes. I mean, that's really all they kind of do. Tell story, you know what I mean? They just kind of
guy
laugh.
stuff.
Yeah, man.
But
they
those
just
are the
kinda-
things that make life great. you know?
Absolutely. And that's what I was thinking last night. Even when we were dealing with a absolute catastrophe, the worst case scenario that could be dealt this show within the first 5 weeks, that's one of the scenarios. You taking away our YouTube channel, right? I mean, you taking away our platform and just flushing it down the toilet. No explanation. I mean, if you would have told me what's one of the worst things that can happen to you in the next month, that'd have been on the top of the list. But being in that room last night and seeing people laugh, joke, get back to doing things that they enjoy doing, genuinely, sincerely enjoy doing. It's a little bit of perspective, right? I mean, it's a little bit of perspective of what we're trying to do and what we have going on. We can build the YouTube channel back. I mean, we can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We can. It'll suck. I mean, a lot of hard work went into 5 weeks of getting 5,000 subscribers, almost 1,000 a week. That was incredible. I mean, we can't thank you people enough for the support, and we may have to ask for it again. You know, I mean, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. You feel a little dumb to think that we're here, 12 hours later asking, where did our YouTube channel go? But that's where we are. But prospectively, being in that room last night and seeing those people just kind of laugh, interact, and getting back to something that feels normal. Something that feels, or does it feel normal now? Have you gotten away from it so much that the last year of your life feels like when you do go out and you socialize or you have to dress up to go out that it feels a little awkward?
It's going to. Like, I can't imagine walking into somewhere or a stadium and, like, nobody has a mask on. You know? Yeah, a lot of people do.
And I don't know if that'll change, Mike. I don't know if that'll change. I mean, like Mike's saying, he's got to wear a mask all day, every day at work. That may not change.
Yeah.
I mean, in some environments, there's going to be corporate world. There's going to be people that want to be overly protective so they don't have anything to deal with from a backlash standpoint, lawsuit standpoint, anything that deals with that type of stuff where you just say, we're staying to the protocol. Nothing changes with us, right?
I mean, I might continue to wear a mask on an airplane for the rest of my life because everybody's so gross on an airplane.
Yeah, something you realize now
I probably could do.
Is like how gross everyday situations
really
are.
do
You're like,
realize
oh
how
my
gross
god,
people
like I was saying earlier, like if someone's sick, like wear it, please. Don't get me sick.
Yeah.
Like,
or
right.
don't go out if you're sick.
well, I mean, just like with anything, you
Yeah.
know, like if you have a cold or flu, just
Yeah.
like be nice.
So it's, I don't know. I know that there are people that are going to be overly cautious and that there are people that saw yesterday's news both in Texas and Mississippi and were highly offended by that. But I think we've gotten to a point where we know enough, we've seen enough, and you know, it's my thought, maybe I'm putting too much stock into society, but I think that everybody can make their own decision whether or not you want to wear a mask or whether or not you even want to socialize. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, like, it's really up to you whether or not you want to go to this game this afternoon. If they're allowing you in 50% capacity or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's at the end of the day, they're not telling you have to go. And when you show up, they're not telling you what you have to wear. You know, I mean, be an adult, parent your kid. Make the decision. I think we've gotten there, and I know that may be unpopular this morning, but I'm kind of.
No, I think a lot of people agree with you.
I think it's time to loosen this stuff up. It's time to get back to commerce. It's time to get back to socialization. It's time to get back to day-to-day interaction, because I think one thing that's not being discussed, or one thing that's not even being talked about of something that's coming out of this is the mental and the mental health toll that it's taking on people.
Yeah, for sure it has.
I mean, I can speak directly towards that.
Yeah, Jeff Marcone said the same thing in the chat.
You know, I mean, I think that there is backlash of effects that we don't even recognize, that we don't even understand at this point. I mean, I don't know if we can really weigh how much social interaction or just interacting with people has on our mental stability every single day. Whether it be just a short story that you can hear from somebody, you can get a laugh or a joke from somebody, or you can have a serious conversation one-on-one to somebody's face. I think just last night, man, that was, you know, there was a lot of stuff happening last night coming at us whether it was professionally, we were dealing with a crisis, or personally, you were sitting inside of a room where you saw true joy and happiness that you thought, you know what, man, this is perspective. This is perspective of where we are kind of in society right now. And my thought last night was that the unrestricted social guidelines wins out. Like, it looks like this is a better place to be rather than stressing where did the YouTube channel go, because that can be recreated and we can ask for your support again. And hopefully with the support that you were able and so willing and gracious with 5 weeks ago, we can get back in return.
It's really overwhelming.
And it has been. I mean, we're so thankful, all of us. Yes,
for
man.
Your support.
I mean, it's incredible to see the support, to hear the support, to see that. Christopher Galloway, I just need St. Patrick's Day parade. Me too, Chris. Good God.
A head of lettuce.
About that.
Good God, Chris Calloway. I mean, that really is what I'm talking about. I mean, think about what St. Patrick's Day would be like in Baton Rouge if you could get that thing off the ground in 2 Saturdays. Isn't that when it's scheduled? Like regularly, like the 3rd Saturday of March every year?
Around then.
I mean, look outside right now. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's probably going to be 75 degrees today.
It's beautiful outside.
Can you give me St. Patrick's Day with that, with the city of Baton Rouge and everybody in a good mood with music bumping in South Downs and people just half-dressed,
Jigging.
just socializing, dancing. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? Like the weather, right? I mean, like brings out, I mean, like the spring dresses and the shorts, man. I'm all in.
Yeah.
Everybody's in a good
Cold
mood.
pop, dude.
Yes.
A little cigarette if you want one. I don't care.
So I think bring it back. I mean, man. Huh? Sundress season.
That's what it really boils down to.
I never missed a class in spring semester.
I might have missed a class that was on campus.
That's right. That's exactly right. So look, man, I know that people may come at me with stats, and people are going to come at me with their personal stories, and people are going to come at me with their own experiences, and I respect all of those. I do, and I don't want to sound like I'm disrespecting any of that. I mean, I know that I read that was it in America we had 500,000 deaths on COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you can't fake that.
No, you can't.
You know, I mean, that's not unrealistic.
Get them to subscribe.
I don't think that's you know that's something to laugh at.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
It's not, and I'm not laughing at it.
Lee Gilly said, "I now identify as a citizen of Texas. I've thrown away the masks." You got
See?
right on that, Lee Gilly.
I mean, I mean,
pop the brakes.
well, I mean, that's his choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what those press conferences and that's what those types of decisions allow, and that's what I support. You know what I mean? Lee Gilly's an adult. He has kids. If he thinks it's in his best interest to socialize and interact without a mask, I respect that. If I don't want to go a place where they don't have masks, I won't go. You know, I mean, I think we all have that choice. And I think it's time for the decision makers to take the rules and regulations off of those choices. And I think that's starting to happen. You're starting to see that. Obviously, Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana yesterday. Hey, it ain't happening in New Orleans, though.
No.
You see the destroyer? Ain't happening here. From the Bahamas. She's down in Turks and Caicos this week. Yeah. She's on a leadership convention down there with her and her inner circle.
Ted Cruz down there?
We'll see.
Yeah.
You would think. But not happening in New Orleans. Still phase 2 down in New Orleans with the city of NOLA. We appreciate everybody for being there inside Facebook. We'll be back. When we come back, we're going to talk to Keith Sanchez at the top of the hour today. Looking forward to this conversation with Keith Sanchez. Sanchez has been a defensive analyst for the LSU football team for the past couple of seasons, and a lot of people you talk to inside of that building, inside that facility, say that Sanchez is a bright star in coaching, a rising star in coaching. Sanchez decided to walk away from the sideline, from the headset, and go into law school. And he's going to become a lawyer because he sees what's heading down the pipe in college football with name, image, and likeness. I wonder what he sees. I wonder why he's making that choice. We were talking last night in that room about some of the things that are on the horizon for college football. In just a couple of months, in July, if you're in the state of Florida, you can start charging for any type of promotion on your name, image, or likeness. So if you're the quarterback at Florida State, If you're the quarterback at Miami, De'Aaron King.
De'Aaron King.
De'Aaron King.
Yeah.
Coming off
De'Aaron
an
King.
ACL, but still good.
Coming off the ACL, but
still in
still
college?
absolutely.
Oh, yeah, he's coming
taking back.
back.
He's doing the 5th year.
Okay. I really want to see him at his best because he is a phenomenal player.
He was a Heisman candidate.
Wait,
at
tore his
last year.
ACL in the bowl game.
Yeah.
Right before he
So-
announced the game before.
Right.
that he's
So
coming
I don't
back.
know, but
It's not his cast.
De'Aaron King, you could go to a businesswoman in Florida in South Florida and say, hey, you want me to promote your automobile? You want me to promote your product, whatever it may be, and you could cut him a check. That's coming. That'll be here in July in the state of Florida. It'll be here in August in the state of Louisiana. Where if you're a business owner out there, you could legitimately walk up to Derek Stingley Sr. or walk up to Derek Stingley Jr., not senior, junior, the best cornerback in college football this year. And you could say, hey, man, you mind putting on my hat and stepping on a billboard? I'll put you on a billboard on corporate, and I'll pay you $500 a month to do it. I mean, that's real life. Keith Sanchez, he wants to go to the other side. He sees that there is an opportunity on the other side, from the law side, the legal side, to represent and be a part of that. We'll ask him what he sees coming up here at 8 o'clock this morning. We'll also talk to Jean Paul Bourgeois at 8:30 this morning, as Jean Paul will be answering any questions that you have about food, any questions that you have about recipes, any questions that you may have about South Louisiana, as our guy Jean Paul's been living up in New York City for the past, I believe, 8 years, and now moving back down to Southern America. He's coming back down south. I don't know yet where he's going to land, but I think they're going to go off on a road trip and just drive around the South until they find a place to settle. And he will answer our food questions every Wednesday here at 8:30 with us on the Jordy Culotta Show. So we appreciate that and looking forward to it daily. We're brought to you by AdvantaClean. Remember, online at AdvantaClean, ADVANTA clean.com. Water, fire, or mold. If you smell it, you see it, get in touch with Bradley Lynch over at AdvantaClean. He's located in Industrialplex, and he can help you today. He's got great stories and testimonials, including mine. On Christmas Day, I called Bradley Lynch about, I didn't call him, I sent him a text message of a picture that looked like there was a water leak in the ceiling. Within 2 minutes, I'm on the phone with him. Within the 30 minutes, he's at the house on Christmas Day. Just to give you an idea of the customer service that Lynch is offering over at AdvantaClean. 369-5228 is the phone number, or you can reach him at AdvantaClean.com. When we come back, we'll talk to Keith Sanchez, who is the former LSU defensive analyst on the move to law school. We come back here on the Jordy Culotta Show, presented every day by Go Chevrolet. Every time we talk to LSU head basketball coach Will Wade here on the Jordy Culotta Show, it's brought to you by Phil's Oyster Bar. Some exciting new things coming up at Phil's here during the Lenten season, including featuring new seafood specials every Friday, in addition to the seafood-filled menu over there. And they're offering up brunch right now on Saturday and Sundays, which will have bottomless mimosas. Don't forget Monday night 50-cent oysters and $2 draft beers, all over at Phil's Oyster Bar. Check them out. They're online at philsoysterbar.com, but they're located in the South Downs Shopping Center, a staple here in Baton Rouge for a long time. Go tell Anthony Piazza and the crew hello. Phil's Oyster Bar. Hey, if you're in the market for a custom home, get in touch with our friend Rhett Bourgeois over at RMB Builders. They're online at RMB-Builders, and Rhett can do just about anything you need around the house. He can build you a new one. He can repair the one you're in. He can remodel. If you need commercial construction help, he's licensed for commercial as well. He can handle an office renovation, building maintenance. Check out everything. It's online at rmb-builders.com. He's on social media, Instagram and Facebook. You can find him at the handle at RMB Builders LLC. But the website is fantastic. Check him out, rmb-builders.com. Hey, you know it's no secret what we got going over here at the Jordy Culotta Show. We're trying to disrupt how media and advertising moves forward. My friend of over 35 years, Barrett Blondo, is doing the same thing for real estate with his new company, Falaya. I met with him in his own personal undisclosed location, and I got to see firsthand what Falaya has been doing and what he's been working on. It blew my mind, man. They are putting all the tools once reserved for professionals right in the hands of the homeowner. It's basically for sale by owner on steroids. For more information, give my guy Barrett Blondo a call today at 225-939-6153 or visit him at Falaya. That's FALAYA.com for more info. Barrett Blondo over at Falaya.com. Changing the game in real estate. Can you be assured that the air and surfaces in your home are clean, sanitized, and safe for you and your entire family? You can now by logging on to Valera.com/Jordy Culotta, where you, your home, your office, your family can be protected 24/7 with active pure technology. This NASA-based science has proven 99.9% reduction of airborne SARS-2 and COVID-19 virus in just 3 minutes. Log on now to Valera.com/Jordy Culotta.
Have a late night and can't make it for the Jordy Culotta Show at 7 a.m.? No worries. Catch us on demand on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Welcome back into the Jordy Culotta Show, presented every day by Go Chevrolet. Stop in and check out Lee Carney and the crew down at Go Chevrolet. They're on Twitter. If you got our tweet from this morning, you saw that we tagged Lee and the crew. You can find them there on Twitter. Make sure and hit them, as you can follow them on Twitter, as they are at Go_Chevrolet. At Go_Chevrolet. They've got some exciting news and announcements talking about some expansion coming into Baton Rouge with a used car lot. They're down in Laplace right now. Stop in and see them. If you're coming from New Orleans, going to New Orleans, stop in at Laplace and check out Go Chevrolet. Nick Richard, Lee Carney down there, and really doing a great job of building that brand. Keith Sanchez is a name in college football that when you asked around the college ranks or asked around the college coaches circuit, Sanchez's name was routinely brought up as a bright and rising star within the community. He spent the past couple of seasons as a football defensive personnel analyst for the LSU football team. LSU had some openings on their staff, and I think Sanchez was a legitimate candidate to be promoted. And then the news broke about 2 weeks ago, about a week and a half ago, that Sanchez was going to leave football and head to law school. And this comes at a time where there's a lot of change around college football. We mentioned the name, image, and likeness that'll start taking place and start taking into effect here starting in July in the month of Florida and throughout the rest of college athletics closer towards August and September. Sanchez sees a real opportunity there. Really looking forward to diving in and picking his brain this morning about what he sees, what his experience has been like, and now he's joining us here on the Jordy Culotta Show this morning on Facebook. Coach, it's great to catch up with you. Good morning.
Oh, how you doing, man? Good morning. It's great to be on the show. I appreciate you giving me a call just so I could really just explain everything from my point of view and my perspective, because I know the NIL, the name, image, likeness thing is pretty hot topic just in college football overall. And right now, I don't think there's any right or wrong in it, but I really just, wanted to explain my viewpoint on it.
Absolutely. That's why we were looking forward to this conversation, Coach. Tell me what you saw that made you kind of start to even think about this, because if you talk to people around the coaching community and specifically over at LSU, you had real opportunity to continue to further your coaching career, and it looks like you would have been very successful at that trade if you were to stick with it. You are now at this point in your career deciding to change your professional life and go from coaching into law. Why make that decision now?
Right. And saying that made my decision to step away from LSU so difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I knew the opportunities that I had ahead of me. Just being there for the 3, 4, 5 years that I was there, and continue to climb the ladder, and knowing that you're on the precipice of your big break at a big time university. It made it extremely difficult to walk away. But my reasoning for leaving was not to get totally out of football, but more so to educate myself on where I think football is going. I aspire to be a general manager, whether that be in college or the NFL. And if you look at the NFL models, they have, people that deal with the salary cap. they're general managers, they're educated in multiple different things. It just isn't a film evaluation. And so I kind of realized, okay, I need to educate myself on more than just the evaluation of prospects. And to take you back, probably about 5 or 6 months ago, we had a sports firm come in and they were giving a presentation on name, image, and likeness. And so, much like college football, we're sitting in there and we're like, okay, where's this going to go? And I always judge a company by who's associated with it, right? And so one of the hot names that was on there was Oliver Luck. And so I'm like, that kind of got my attention. Cause I'm like, hey, if this guy was just on the college football playoff committee and then now he's, part of this firm, then this is a real thing. Yeah. So I started paying attention to it, and you started to realize that they're implementing, rules, and the NCAA is moving forward with the name, image, and likeness thing. I always like to tell people, you just kind of reference them to them, like just pay attention to trends. Years ago, the NCAA football game, it canceled its game because of the student athletes, and them wanting name, image, and likeness and compensation for it. And then probably, you can remember, probably about a month ago, it went viral that the NCAA football game is coming back. And that's the reason. And I think that reason is that the NCAA, along with name, image, and likeness, they're starting to figure out, the nuances of how they can figure out how to implement athletes getting compensated for the name, image, and likeness. And so once I left that meeting, I kind of started to think about my job and my profession. Like you said, I'm the defensive personnel analyst. So that involves the identification of prospects and also when they come on campus, the recruitment of those prospects. Mm-hmm. And we all know, there's a thing, official visits, where you have 48 hours to pretty much recruit a kid. And that can encompass photo shoots, dinners, breakfast, lunch. We spend the whole time with them. And I started to think, this is a capitalist country, right? So it's all about money. So I started to think, how would these visits start to change over time? And that's when it kind of got to me like, hey, the biggest thing is probably going to be these guys sitting down and actually talking about how can I capitalize off my name, image, and likeness. And that's probably going to come to the forefront of every recruiting visit because these kids and their parents, all of them don't come from great situations and great backgrounds. So money will be a factor. That's just what it is. And so I was thinking like, hey, me wanting to be a general manager, just overseeing a whole program, it'd probably be in my best interest to go to law school and to really kind of hone in on contractual law overall.
Forward thinking. Love that, bro. Keith Sanchez joining us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. What are you about to take on? What is the challenge that you're about to step into? I mean, are you about to go to law school for 3 years?
Yes, I'm enrolling in law school in August. I made that decision back probably in January, but like I said, leaving LSU is tough, man. I mean, that's the top 10 football program in the country, and just to kind of walk away, just to say, hey, I'm going back to school, and I'll be the first to say I'm not the number one school guy.
right. You fit in well here, Coach. You fit in well here.
Yeah. But it was just one of those things where I said, you know what, this may be best for my career overall because I'm not sure where the NCAA is going to take this with the name, image, and likeness thing, but I thought it was always good for me to be educated. I'm 28 years old, and, I feel like I left LSU on a good note. So, if the opportunity ever came back and, I finished law school, then I'll be more and willing to return to LSU, honestly.
Yeah. No, everybody who you talk to around the program has nothing but glowing remarks to say about you as a person and your coachability. I mean, your professionalism within the trade. What do you see with the name, image, and likeness? I mean, what is a possibility? Can somebody in 6 months walk up to Derek Stingley Jr. and say, hey, man, here's $10,000, endorse my company?
Right. Okay. And so this was where I would say I would have to, just from perspective wise, I differed with it, with the sports firm. So their kind of pitch to us was, if you look at the NFL model, right? Let's take the Saints for instance. Mm-hmm. You only see Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. Those are the guys that's getting the big money contract, right? Right. And, so they were saying basically you wouldn't have to worry about, only but let's say that 2019 season, only Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow would probably be the only guy that would get a sports contract. Well, a name, image, likeness contract. And I, just thinking about it, I disagree because I'm like, those guys in the NFL, they're making millions of dollars, right? So the only thing that can kind of get their attention is more $1 million companies. But I thought about a town like, or a city like Baton Rouge, and we have a bunch of small businesses, right? So if I'm a small business and I own, let's say, a burger and shake spot, and athlete for LSU just has a great football game, home game, and then I know that we have another home game next week, why wouldn't I reach out to that student athlete? And remember, this student athlete doesn't have millions of dollars. So if I reach out to him and be like, hey, if I want my business to do well, why wouldn't I just give him $5,000 to $10,000 and come promote my business, and it works. So I just envisioned it not only for the top athletes but the second tier athletes too. And to that point, I think that it's going to need management overall. Like there's going to have to be representation from LSU and the small businesses and also the student athlete also, just to make sure that everything marriages, because during the football season is when the student athlete probably has the most exposure, right? But that's also their busiest time because they have practice, they have games, and they have school, and they have treatment. Now, how do you stop that student athlete from skipping on treatment or something of that nature to go do a name, image, and likeness business opportunity? So that's why I thought that also the school would need opportunity, and because these big businesses, they don't understand the fabric of Baton Rouge. When you say Chimes to them, they have no idea what Chimes is. But, if you have somebody that represents the school and knows the school in and out, they know exactly what it is.
How much are these guidelines being talked about and put in place today? I mean, how wide open is this space right now?
I think it's real wide open. So that's why I say, at the beginning of this conversation, nothing is set in stone. But I do foresee the NCAA implementing things, but like you say, it's real wide open, and I'm not 100% sure which way it's going to go overall. It's so many different ways it can go. We talked about, having the opportunity to be able to, speak with high school prospects about name, image, and likeness and stuff like that. And, them getting, financial compensation. But I guess that'll be up to the NCAA to actually pass their rule. And, there's federal stuff involved with it. And, on the state level, some states have passed it already. Like I think Florida has already passed it. And then we all know that'll turn into a competition, obviously for recruits.
Absolutely. How has the recruiting message changed when you are coaching? So just 2 weeks ago, when you're a part of the coaching staff and you guys are recruiting future student athletes, how much is that in the pitch now?
I would say it varies on per school. LSU has a big sports brand. We can pitch football. That's what we are. We're a winning tradition. We're tough. We're gritty. We have a great fan base overall. We're in a great city, so we can pitch that overall. But I have noticed just being on a recruiting trail and talking to kids, just talking to other schools. Other schools have probably made it 50 to 75% of their recruiting pitch, even to go so far as making these guys their own, I guess you say, kind of symbol like Nike has the Nike check. Other schools are making these kids like, hey, this is your branding logo right here, and they're giving it to them their junior year and saying, from here on out, this is how you will be represented. So it's turning into a big thing, and I think that goes off of which school you're speaking of.
Wow, Keith, have you talked to anybody within the coaching industry that is following your lead, or not necessarily following your lead, doing the same thing that you are?
The crazy part is, Jordy, if anybody knows me, they know I'm a pretty laid back, quiet person. I'm very observant. And when I initially made this move, that's pretty much how I wanted to transition. Laid back. Just kind of make the move and kind of move on. But since it kind of went viral and everything, I've had plenty of people contact me. Not only to pick my brain about the situation, but also to tell me that they have made the move too. It just wasn't as big of a thing on Twitter or social media or whatever. But I've had plenty of people contact me and tell me like, hey, coach, I'm doing the same thing. I just left, X school, and I'm going to law school, or I'm going to get my master's degree, or I'm gaining more knowledge, reaching out to NFL agents, just so, we all could know how to attack this thing and educate ourselves.
How cool, man. A trailblazer. Keith Sanchez joining us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. And I'm serious, man. I mean, that really and truly, excuse me for saying this, but it takes some balls to make that decision. Yeah. I mean, really. And I mean, where you're sitting at LSU 2 years ago, you guys have the best team in college football. You're putting 8 guys into the combine this year. You're going to get attention. You're going to get notoriety. And for you to just say, hey, man, I see more opportunity on the other side, and to walk away from that, that's commendable, dude. I mean, that's a stand up tough decision that somebody you have to. I mean, you got to go to sleep at night with that decision, and I'd imagine that some nights that's pretty tough to do. What do you think about LSU going into next season? Because the more that I read around the team, the more I see things coming out. I saw a tweet that Andre Anthony put out earlier this week where he said, we got something cooking and it smells good. It seems like LSU, that things have been figured out. You guys are now trending back in the right direction of a championship program.
Yeah, I think that is the trend. I think you're seeing that we have a lot of returning starters, so we have a lot of veterans, guys that, they got their feet wet a little bit to kind of understand what SEC football about, what is the grind. So I think it's trending upward overall. I think we should have a pretty good team. And one thing I'll speak to too is also the coaching staff. Mm-hmm. You have Coach Corey Raymond, who played at LSU, is from Baton Rouge, so he understands the fabric. You have Coach Kevin Falk, who probably did one of the best recruiting jobs, getting those 2 running backs in the 2021 class, probably in the country, honestly. You have Mickey Joseph. So we have a good coaching staff that's set around. And I think that this coaching staff kind of has to understand that they have to be more in tune overall with the players. So I think just within the building, we made more of an emphasis with that. And I think that last year was the first year, just with the racial divide and, coronavirus and everything, was the first time that coaches, we couldn't just worry about football because our student athletes had more things on their mind. And I think it was just more so just an adjustment that we had to make overall. And I think the sky's the limit for LSU in 2021. I think they're ready. I just seen that they started their fourth quarter stuff.
Yeah.
I'm still speaking with a couple of guys in the building, and they're excited about it. So I think LSU will get back on track, and I think it'll be what we're used to seeing from the LSU Tigers.
Keith Sanchez joining us here on the Jordy Culotta Show, formerly the football defensive personnel and analyst over with the Tigers, now heading into law school for the future of name, image, and likeness. Let me paint a scenario for you, and you tell me how you see it playing out. Over the next couple of seasons, LSU might have the best quarterback selection of recruits in the country when you talk about in succession Walker Howard, Arch Manning, and Eli Holstein. Holstein and Arch Manning both being in the same class, but Walker Howard being dominant. Do you foresee them coming out like a prospect like those guys, that caliber of prospect, 5-star guys, coming out of high school the next couple of seasons with representation? Like, will they have a representative when they get to their signing day ceremony or when they get to their graduation? Do you see that as a possibility?
Yes, I see it as a possibility, but like I said, a possibility. It depends on, like I said, the NCAA, kind of funnels these rules through and everything. And I could see a lot of top prospects having representation and just really deciding for themselves what's the best opportunity for them. Some people may make decisions for the branding more than others. I know you mentioned Arch Manning. I don't think he's going to have an issue with branding, right? He's a man. He's a man. He's not going to have any issue at all. But maybe a prospect that hasn't been in the spotlight his whole life may decide to make a decision based on branding and name, image, and likeness. And I think that will be a part of signing days. And I think the more you talk to prospects, that will be a big deal to them. And like I said, I think when we talk about branding, name, image, and likeness, compensation for the student athlete, sometimes fans get a little nervous about it because it's like, hey, it's changing the fabric of college football. College football is about representing your school and things of that nature. I don't see that part changing as far as, the players being passionate about the school. I think the compensation comes in is where we have to understand that some of these student athletes, they come from not the best situations. As far as their parents may make, $25,000, $30,000 a year. And that's after they finish signing autographs and all of that thing. So it's tough for the student athlete overall. So that's pretty much what I see. It can go either way.
Follow him on Twitter at Coach K_LSU to keep up with what he's got going on. We'd love to get you back on and keep up with this ride and this run to the legal degree, to the law degree, as very commendable, very cool story, man. We appreciate you sharing it this morning, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Oh, yeah, let's definitely talk. It's my first time on the Jordy Culotta Show, but I don't want it to be my last.
Absolutely.
I've been watching you for a couple of years. You've been a staple in the LSU community as far as talking about LSU football. I would love to come back on the show at any point, whenever you're ready for me, Jordy.
Open invite, Keith. We appreciate that, man. Go get him, man. Congratulations, right. And we'll talk soon.
All right, thank you, man.
You
Thanks,
got
Coach.
it, man. There is Keith Sanchez checking in from LSU this morning as it was cool to catch up with him as he's making the move from coaching to the legal field, and to see and hear that up close was a cool story. I'm sorry, I was just getting a tweet from
What a pivot.
Unbelievable. From Brody Miller, who's over at The Athletic, who said he's got a story running on Sanchez tomorrow over at The Athletic. Brody Miller is a fantastic writer who keeps up with LSU football. We'll have a feature on Brody Miller. In fact, I was reading his feature on Mike Jones, the linebacker from Clemson. That's right, Mike Jones, the linebacker from Clemson, who's transferring over from LSU. Read Brody's work over at The Athletic. But yes, an incredible pivot from Keith Sanchez at 28 years old. I'm telling you, you talk to a lot of people around LSU football. We should have asked Coach Aranda about him yesterday because Dave was the one that hired him originally at LSU, and to see that decision be made, because a lot of people will tell you around the facility, around the program, he's a star. I mean,
Clearly got a sharp mind.
I mean, he's kind of a triple threat where he can recruit it, he can coach it in the classroom, and he can coach it on the field. You know what I mean? A lot of guys can either do one. Some guys can only do maybe two, 1.5. They usually can't recruit and do the coaching really, Dom. He can do both. And to see him make that move, but to hear what his aspirations are, it makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? Wants to get back into football, and with the way that football is trending, especially from a college standpoint, from a collegiate standpoint, where these guys have representation now, is pretty cool and pretty crazy to see. Johnson and Spillers Dentistry brings you the Jordy Culotta Show every day. Remember, you can find them. They've got 2 locations, one in Baton Rouge, one in Gonzales. Here in Baton Rouge, in between Segan and Perkins, on Perkins, in between Segan and Bluebonnet, and in Baton Rouge on Prepara Drive. Get in touch with Johnson and Spillers Dentistry. Everything from pediatric dentistry to fillings, molds, cavities, all that stuff that you need done in your mouth, they can help you with. They can help you with Botox, with some teeth whitening as well. Online, johnsonandspillers.com. If you've got food questions, if you've got any recipe questions, if you're curious about cooking anything here going into the spring, and you've got a question for our resident chef, Jean Paul Bourgeois, he'll be stopping by here in about 10 minutes. We can also answer your questions. If you have any questions for the Jordy Culotta Show, get them inside of the bunker. We're on Facebook only this morning. If you haven't heard the news, yesterday the YouTube account vanished as we were trying to add a substation to our Jordy Culotta Show station with the GritIron Show coming to our family. And starting on Monday, we were just trying to develop a station for that show. In the process, the Jordy Culotta Show YouTube station has vanished. I'm not yet ready to say that it is gone completely, because it still says that it exists. We just cannot locate it right now. We are trying, we are efforting, and we are going to get that back at some point, hopefully. If we can't, we'll just have to start over from scratch on YouTube, and we will come with our tail tucked between our legs and ask for your support once again, because you have been so great on supporting what we've been doing over here, and we are extremely grateful for that. And we will be extremely embarrassed if we have to ask for that support again, but it may be something that we have to do. When we come back, we'll answer your questions, and we will get set up for Jean Paul Bourgeois, who will stop by here at 8:30 this morning on the Jordy Culotta Show, brought to you daily by Go Chevrolet. Hey, if you're in the market for a custom home, get in touch with our friend Rhett Bourgeois over at RMB Builders. They're online at RMB-Builders. And Rhett can do just about anything you need around the house. He can build you a new one. He can repair the one you're in. He can remodel. If you need commercial construction help, he's licensed for commercial as well. He can handle an office renovation, building maintenance. Check out everything. It's online at rmb-builders.com. He's on social media, Instagram and Facebook. You can find him at the handle at RMB Builders LLC. But the website is fantastic. Check him out, rmb-builders.com.
Do you want to sponsor the Jordy Culotta Show? Contact us at katie@jordyculottashow.com. That's katie@jordyculottashow.com.
Every time we talk to LSU head basketball coach Will Wade here on the Jordy Culotta Show, it's brought to you by Phil's Oyster Bar. Some exciting new things coming up at Phil's here during the Lenten season, including featuring new seafood specials every Friday, in addition to the seafood-filled menu over there. And they're offering up brunch right now on Saturday and Sundays, which will have bottomless mimosas. Don't forget Monday night 50-cent oysters and $2 draft beers. All over at Phil's Oyster Bar. Check them out. They're online at philsoysterbar.com, but they're located in the South Downs Shopping Center, a staple here in Baton Rouge for a long time. Go tell Anthony Piazza and the crew hello. Phil's Oyster Bar. Hey, if you're in the market for a custom home, get in touch with our friend Rhett Bourgeois over at RMB Builders. They're online at RMB-Builders, and Rhett can do just about anything you need around the house. He can build you a new one. He can repair the one you're in. He can remodel. If you need commercial construction help, he's licensed for commercial as well. He can handle an office renovation, building maintenance. Check out everything. It's online at rmb-builders.com. He's on social media, Instagram and Facebook. You can find him at the handle at RMB Builders LLC. But the website is fantastic. Check him out, rmb-builders.com.
What's good, y'all? We got some awesome merch on the store, jordy.itemorder.com. Southern Marsh items just added. Some awesome choices, jordy.itemorder.com. Check out the merch. Rep the show. We love your support. Thank you so much. jordy.itemorder.com.
Shout out to Cody Edwards and the crew over at Red Stick Sports. Still your headquarters for all things sports, serving Baton Rouge since 1981. Remember the online stores you can get set up for if you have a team or a business. They can handle everything on their end. That's what they're doing for us over at Red Stick Sports. We appreciate their partnership with Cody Edwards and the crew over there at Red Stick. A fascinating story for sneakerheads.
Oh, my God.
We've got a couple of sneakerheads on staff here. Michael Thompson, who is our video producer, is an absolute shoe junkie. He puts his shoes in clear boxes. He only wears his shoes once. He may not even wear a shoe once. He will buy multiple pairs of shoes just to wear one and not wear a pair. My man has got a sickness for the feet game. Katie's a shoe head. I am very much into the shoes. Rivers is into the shoes. But my guy over here, West Coast Joe, who is Ann Hebert. I'm going with Hebert. The rest of the country has been pronouncing her name as Herbert or Hebert. There's no R. Ann Hebert, now the former vice president and general manager of Nike North America.
The continent.
Not USA. The continent. There's only 7 of them on the planet. She is the general manager and vice president of Nike North America. Her son is an absolute shithead. I mean, an absolute punk-ass kid named Joe Hebert.
Hebert.
He goes by West Coast Joe in the shoe game. Come to find out, first off, I didn't know that Nike was on this crusade against the secondary market, against the resale of shoes.
I love that.
Right? Like they have been on a absolute mission for the last 4 years of ending this, of having some type of impact on just crushing the secondary market.
And it was right under the nose.
Well, come to find out, they brought this up. Hebert brought this up in a meeting. Ann Hebert brought this up in a board meeting that her son was doing this. But they cleared her because they weren't using, he wasn't using any of her credentials, any of her, as they proved there. Well, come to find out, he was. He was using her credentials behind the scenes and using a Nike discount promo code that the employees are offered. And he was using his mom's credit card to buy the inventory. This little punk does an interview 2 weeks ago, and they're because he's become this legend on the secondary shoe market. He's got these shoes and these selections that nobody can get. A very exclusive pair of shoes. He's got like over 100 pairs sitting in a warehouse.
I think 6 pairs of the Back to the Future Nike shoes.
Amazing amount of access to this product, right? And so people are like, my God, man, what is going on? Bloomberg Magazine does a cover story last week. They want to talk to West Coast Joe. So West Coast Joe, being the little punk that he is and can't run from the attention and can't just say, I can't kill this thing, bro. This is an unbelievable business model that nobody has me figured out, and I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on this thing. He can't help himself. Bloomberg calls, they want an interview. He gives them all of the details, tells them who he is, and people want to know, how are you getting all these shoes, bro? I mean, like, how do you afford this? Well, my mom's the general manager and the vice president at Nike, Ann Hebert. They're like, huh? He's like, yeah, absolutely. Within the interview, a minute after hanging up the phone off the live interview, he texts the interviewee, hey, man, don't use my mom's name. Please, you can't use my mom's name. We're in this business. You know what I mean? We got the scoop. We got the story, right? Like, yo, West Coast Joe, sorry, you little shithead. You just gave me all the news. You blew it, right? I'm going public. I'm ruining your operation right now. 24 hours later, Ann Hebert, who was just promoted to that position 18 months ago, she was one of the key figures in building the Nike brand. She's been with Nike for 25 years. Longer than West Coast Joe has been alive. She's been with Nike. Her son cost her gig because he's using her discount code to cheat Nike on something that they're trying to kill the whole operation. Come to find out, their vice president's kid is one of the biggest wranglers in the whole shop.
That's just comprehending
the audacity
that is so
of this
hard.
kid.
Yeah,
I mean, like, West Coast, I hate him.
I hate him.
I
have a lot in common
I've
with him,
never even
apparently.
seen him. I've never even met him. I hate him.
You're the reason I can't get Court Purple J's anywhere for under like $300.
Yeah, whatever size he is, he grabbed all of those. He was like, well, at least I got my shoes.
I mean, have you seen the inventory?
It's a warehouse.
Well, no, he's still
got
got
a
his whole
Walmart.
stock. He's got his whole stock still.
Obama's going to be making him pay the bills with this
Oh,
money.
yeah,
That's
for
what I'm saying.
sure. Absolutely.
Like instead of making money off
I mean,
that
that is your
now-
401k. There's your insurance policy, Ann.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if you want to
Issues.
resign,
Donate them to
there's your
charity.
severance package from Nike. You've got all the exclusive inventory that people have been looking for in a Walmart type warehouse. I mean, where is
this
this kid
thing is
keeping
gigantic.
this thing?
It's like a Sam's Club.
Why he has a wall with the empty boxes behind that wall just to split up the warehouse as a trash can to the ceiling.
It is
disgusting.
amazing. I mean, it's an incredible story.
How can he redeem himself though? Like, could he sell them and donate some of the money to charity? Like,
I mean,
donate the
Lloyd, you got a
shoes?
shot. You got a shot at redemption.
Right,
You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like, you still aren't dead.
Yeah,
You know what I
not yet.
mean?
I'm
Like,
not buried.
you're not buried yet. I mean, West Coast Joe
It's done for.
is cooked.
He's over.
I mean, he is dead.
And he has to go home to mom after, too. I mean, I had to come here this morning. That was rough. I walked
19-year-old
real slow.
kid, bro. Can you imagine going back home and costing your mom the vice president of Nike North America?
I wouldn't go back home.
The only thing is, does she not see the credit card statements? Like, what are you doing?
Just kind of gives you an idea of how big of a baller she is.
Yeah. Have more shoes?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we were all in that time period in our life where we had a parent's credit card and you had that threshold or that window of what you could or could not get away with. Right? I mean, there was
I
either
still do that.
the gas. You could always pull off the gas back in the day. Maybe a couple of CDs in my day. We go over to Blockbuster where what's the Dragos? What's the oyster joint from New Orleans that's there now?
Yeah,
next to
Dragos.
Is it
Dragos.
Dragos?
It used to be the FYE.
And it used to be Blockbuster Music
Oh, okay.
forever.
Then it was FYE.
I don't think you were an idea at the time.
I
Yes,
was, I was
you were
a part
not.
of the
You were
picture
not.
yet.
You were West Coast Joe, bro. You and West Coast Joe. Still swimming.
West Coast Joe should have stayed in there.
That's right. That's right.
So we'll
But there was that threshold that you knew the parents were going to be like, what the hell's going on with the credit card? You know what I mean? Like,
There's a number.
it ain't just the gas last month, bro. What's going on? Who you been feeding? Who you been saying you're going to pick up the bill for? This cat's running up 100 G's a month in shoes and nobody asks a question? Nobody
see the-
waves a red flag?
You can see the charge going back to Nike. I mean,
Maybe she was in on it.
Maybe she was.
Maybe she was in on the
like,
thing.
I don't know. We don't know that, right?
I mean,
I don't wanna
you know,
speculate.
She resigned pretty easily.
she did.
You know, no fuss.
I mean, she just
Yeah.
steps away. I mean, I got to imagine the severance from Nike's pretty good. Especially if you've been there 25 years and you held a status of vice president of North America, of a continent, and your kid cost you the gig
What an
because he's
amazing
selling
job.
shoes on a secondary market.
Couldn't even get the Antarctica transfer. Had to resign.
Oof. All right, we're going to talk to Jean Paul Bourgeois coming up here in a couple of minutes on the. In fact, we're going to talk to him right now. I'm going to give him a call here on the show and see if we can't link up with our guy. See if Jean Paul can't give us some help here.
I mean, his YouTube channel is legit.
It's the best.
I wonder if he's ever made a mistake like this.
We're about to find
I'm
out.
about to find out.
Yes, we are.
Help me.
Hello.
How we feeling this morning? Good morning.
I'm feeling rested and energized.
Love it. Where are you in the world right now?
Positive?
We are in Clearwater, Florida
Ooh.
right now.
Not cold down there.
Taking the long way.
No,
home.
dude, it is like open windows, open all the doors,
Ooh.
just let it flow through the house kind of weather. You love it.
So the move from New York is happening right now. You guys are like on the road and moving. You're out of New York.
We are out in New York, and the goal is to spend a month here. We're going to spend a month in Charleston, a month in Austin. We're going to pass through Louisiana as well, and kind of hang out with my folks there sometime around May. And that's the thing. You know, it's like you're kind of on your own terms right now, and get to just feel out these cities and see if you want to spend a month there. Would you spend a year, 2 years, 20 years? Who knows, man? I'm just kind of living it right now.
What a cool experience,
That sounds
bro.
awesome.
What a cool
so cool.
experience. Jean Paul Bourgeois joining us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We ran into an issue yesterday, bro. We're kind of trying to follow your lead here. You're one of the guys that we're kind of out there. We're looking at what you got going on, and we're saying we can do that. We can do that. We're on YouTube. We're daily on YouTube. Yesterday, we're trying to build a network here, and we got more shows coming. So we were trying to build a substation to our big station on YouTube, and along the way, our YouTube channel vanished. I mean, it's gone. We don't see it anymore. Have you run into trouble doing this and getting your own personal brand off the ground with so many platforms that you're on? I saw where you just got on Twitter last week. You're all over Facebook. You're all over YouTube. What has this journey been like for you? Because right now we're deep in the valley right now, trying to find a way out.
I'm in the shit.
That's a loaded question.
Man, there's like so much noise in the social space right now. When you start considering TikTok and even like Pinterest and things like that, if you're into those types of mediums, I've been on Twitter for a while. I'm just not so active on it, and people tell me I need to like up my game in Twitter or some other space. You know, I'm one of those guys that kind of believe that, if I can do one or two things right and well, then just keep doing them right and well and try not to overextend myself. And that's what it really takes to do really great YouTube channels, or really great TikTok videos, or be really active on Twitter and have all these opinions to share and so on. Is to really stick to it and kind of engage your folks like that. So with Instagram, which is kind of my bread and butter when it comes to the social platforms, it was just all about being authentic. And I think the hardest thing to do is when you start kind of fabricating storylines for your Instagram or for YouTube or for whatever you're doing, and then it kind of comes across as inauthentic. And my platform on Instagram, it's a business platform, and I use it for a lot of business. But I never work with brands or never work with folks that I don't believe in myself, that I don't use personally every day. And so making content for them or content for myself with them, it's easy because it's a natural part of my everyday life. And I think that's part of any kind of social platform. The more authentic you can be, the more that comes across, and more people are going to follow you in that. Now, as far as disappearing YouTube accounts, man, that's crazy. I've actually heard that though with Instagram. I have a chef friend in Dallas, Petra and the Beast is the name of the restaurant, and they had a really great following. Misty Norris is the chef's name, and all of a sudden their Instagram account was gone. And they think it was like hijacked and broke, like basically credentials broken into, and I'm not sure how all that works. And they haven't recovered that. And they spent years building that platform up and trying to tell that story of that restaurant through that platform, so people can promote themselves and come and get business. And now it's gone. So I'm lucky. It's never happened to me. I've had a couple duplicate accounts. People
that's flattering.
Yeah, that is. And it's and then you get to go on stories and be like, tag this man, get him off Instagram, report. And it's like charge. You have your army of followers charging, reporting these guys. So
this is the one.
I'm sorry to hear that, guys.
No, we'll be back, bro. We'll be back. We're not dead yet. We're not dead yet. And it's only been 5 weeks. I mean, I can't imagine building this thing for years and having it stripped out from under you like the Dallas restaurant. I watched the latest Duck Camp Diners, and it was fantastic on the venison chili. I'm going to try that for sure. I don't know if I can try it cooking out in the woods like you guys did. It looks like you guys have such a great time. How do you? What is the filming schedule of that? Obviously, you're in Clearwater right now, and you're with your wife and you're with everybody. But it looks like you and your buddies, you're down in South Louisiana at the camp life and doing all the fun stuff. What is the schedule for that?
So season 1 was fast and furious. It was 6 days of filming. It was on the last 5 days of the first split of the Louisiana duck season. For those listeners who aren't familiar with the split in Louisiana duck season, it's a 60-day season, and it's split into 2 separate parts. And so we call it the first split or the second split. But really, it's the split is all the void time in the middle of the 2 seasons. And so it was the last 5 days of that first season, right before the split. And we filmed 150 hours, 5 days straight, basically, to create those 6 episodes. And the goal was to really say, this is the start and the finish of just one trip to the duck camp, right? And so that's why we start at my parents' house, loading coolers, going to the grocery store, going to meat markets, talking about preparation, and then getting to the camp and spending those 3 or 4 days on that floating duck camp. And then episode 6, which is the one coming out this Sunday, is, the last day of that split, last day of that season before the split. And then we go home, and then I do some stuff back at my parents' house, and it comes full circle. And so it is the life cycle of that duck camp through the food we eat and the people we share it with. And so we wanted to make sure that we didn't take multiple days or weeks to film these 6 episodes. We wanted it to be that just very intense look inside those 5 days at getting to that duck camp, preparing for it, all that fun time in between, cooking, cutting up, listening to Swamp Pop, drinking beer and whiskey, smoking cigars, and then finishing that out with that final hunt, going back home, bringing back ducks, bringing back catfish to our families, So that's what we have to look forward to in episode 6. You
can find them on the Mossy Oak YouTube channel. The latest episode is called This Ruse for You at Duck Camp Dinners. We are talking to Chef Jean Paul Bourgeois here, and he'll be here every Wednesday with us on the Jordy Culotta Show. I'm really looking forward to it. You brought the Taste of the South to New York. What is the plan now with you on the road in the South? Are you just pulling up to parks with food trucks and letting people experience it? How do you get your product to the masses now?
Well, through the course of history, chefs have looked at telling their story, and as you say, your product through restaurants, through people coming in and paying for food and having that transactional experience of hospitality and dining by me cooking food for your table and friends and so on. And although that's effective and efficient, has been proven through years of trial and error by many different people, I started looking at my career in just a different way that I can kind of tell my story around food, which is partly why I created Duck Camp Dinners, because the Duck Camp is part of my kind of culinary history, both past, present, and future. And that's something that you can't experience at a restaurant. So my focus right now is not to go back into a commercial kitchen and just keep having that transactional experience of you pay for, this dish and I cook this dish and you get it and you move on. I'm trying to find more storytelling moments and elements in my culinary career that I can kind of exploit, for better lack of words there, and really just tell a different kind of story in a different way. And after all, guys, like, I'm 36 years old. I don't have, children yet, hopefully one day. But I am kind of looking at that and preparing for that time where I say, man, would I rather have this time traveling and being with my family, spending this time with my wife and cooking at home and videoing that and trying to storytell in a different way? Or do I want to be in a kitchen for 12 hours a day, 5-6 days a week, and really committing myself to that and losing that time with my family, my wife, my friends, and so on?
Right.
I don't know about y'all, but I like having my time with my family and my friends and being able to travel and do that. And so if I can kind of tell my culinary story through different ways and different mediums, of course, Instagram is one of them.